Eggs feel normal. They sit quietly in the fridge, they get cracked into pans, they disappear into cakes. We barely think about them. But stop for a second and ask yourself something strange. How does a chicken produce something this complete almost every single day? No pregnancy, no visible struggle, just one egg again and again. How is that even possible? To understand it, we have to go inside the hen's body. Because what looks simple on the outside is actually one of nature's most precise daily routines. Here is the first surprising part. A hen is born with all the eggs she will ever make. Thousands of tiny undeveloped yolks already exist in her body from birth. They are microscopic, silent, waiting. So the real question becomes, what makes one of those tiny cells suddenly begin its journey? The answer is light. Yes, light. When daylight reaches a hen's eyes, it triggers signals in her brain. Those signals tell her ovary to release one yolk, not randomly, but on schedule, usually every 24 to 26 hours. That tiny yolk then begins traveling through a long twisting tube inside her body. And this is where things get fascinating. Because an egg is not created all at once, it is built step by step. As the yolk moves forward, different parts of the hen's body add layers to it. First, a thick clear liquid wraps around it, what we call the egg white, then soft protective membranes from around that. Finally, calcium is added to create the shell. By the time the egg reaches the end of the system, it looks exactly like the egg you buy from a store. But here's something many people misunderstand. Does a hen need a rooster to lay an egg? No, a rooster is only needed if you want a chick. Without a rooster, the egg is simply unfertilized. That's it. The process still happens. The system keeps running. In other words, egg laying is a hen's natural reproductive cycle, just visible to us in a way most animal cycles are not. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If making one egg takes about 25 hours, what happens to the timing? Each day, the egg is laid slightly later than the day before. Morning becomes afternoon, afternoon becomes evening. Eventually, the schedule gets too late and the hen skips a day to reset. That's why it's almost daily. But think about the effort involved. Every eggshell is made most of calcium. Now where does that calcium come from? Her food, and sometimes even her own bones. If her diet lacks minerals, her body will pull calcium from her skeleton to keep producing the shells. So while egg laying looks effortless, it's actually demanding. Now let's zoom out. Wild chickens thousands of years ago did not lay eggs every day. They laid small group of eggs a few times a year, just enough to reproduce. So why do modern hens produce hundreds? Because humans changed them. Over generations, farmers selected hens that laid more eggs more often. Those hens passed on their genes slowly, carefully over centuries. The result? Today's laying hen is one of the most efficient food producers on earth. But here's a question you might not have thought about it. If a hen lays eggs daily, why doesn't she sit on them immediately? Because her body has two modes, production mode and brooding mode. When enough eggs collect in one nest, hormones shift. Some hens stop laying and begin sitting. They turn the eggs gently. They protect them, they warm them. And during that time, egg production pauses. It's like her body switches from factory to incubator. But even in perfect conditions, egg laying isn't permanent. As hens age, production slows. Feather molting. When they shed and regrow feathers, also pauses egg laying. The body redirects energy. Stress, poor nutrition, extreme temperatures, all of it affects the rhythm, which reveals something important. The daily egg is not automatic. It only happens when conditions are just right. So the next time you crack an egg into a pan, imagine what happened before that moment. About a full day of biological timing, hormones triggered by sunlight, layers built in perfect order, calcium shaped into a shell strong enough to protect life, yet fragile enough to break in your hand. And all of it happening quietly. No noise, no drama, just rhythm. That's what makes eggs so strange. They feel ordinary, but they are the result of one of nature's most consistent and carefully controlled routines. A daily system refined by evolution and reshaped by human history. And once you see that, the egg doesn't feel so simple anymore. This is making things simpler, where we look at everyday objects and uncover the biology, history, and hidden systems behind them. If this made something ordinary feel extraordinary, subscribe because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest stories.